Hello everyone, my name is Claire and welcome back to Stage Manager Supply Co. Today, we're kicking back, getting comfy, cracking open a cold Diet Coke, and settling in for our 6-part script change series. The next 6 weeks on this channel are solely for me to basically upload everything from my brain about script changes into these series of videos for you to watch and then download into your own brains what my methods and best practices are. We're going to be talking about playwright relationships, script change documents, setting up a script, and implementing changes, all in Final Draft, Word, and Pages. Before we get started though, I would first like to say that Black Lives Matter, and that I am creating this content on the traditional lands of the Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, Miami, and Sioux tribes. We will always start our videos acknowledging the inequitable history and landscape of the United States, including but never limited to the fact that we are a country built on stolen land and developed on the backs of slaves. Stage Manager Supply Co. is my own attempt to bridge generations of systematic racism and oppression by making arts education much more accessible. Today, I would like to highlight Tuesday's Children. Tuesday's Children provides a lifetime of healing for families who have been forever changed by terrorism, military conflict, or mass violence. Through a time-tested, long-term approach, Tuesday's Children programming serves and supports the nation's military families of the fallen, builds resilience and common bonds in communities recovering from tragedy worldwide, and keeps the promise to support all of those impacted by Tuesday, September 11th. If you would like to support Tuesday's Children, I'll leave the link to their website in the episode description. In today's video, we're not going to be building any documents per se, but instead we're going to be discussing the relationship between a stage manager and a playwright and some script change best practices that I think are going to be really important moving forward throughout the series. One quick disclaimer before we get started. Everything I'm going to be discussing in this video today is my own personal experience and should not be taken as the end-all be-all of how to work with a playwright or a creative team. What I'm going to be discussing today are overarching ideas and methods that I found success with in the past. If you have different tips, tricks, methods, or systems that have worked for you, please leave me a comment down below. With all that being said, let's get into talking about our relationship with our playwright. First and foremost, what is the relationship between a stage manager and a playwright? That is a great question. My hot take is that a stage manager is there to serve the artistic creation of the playwright. We are there to help them edit and distribute their work to the entire company so that they can focus on the actual creation and development of the work itself. That being said, I do kind of have like a dream stage manager playwright relationship scenario in my type A brain, but that scenario does not work with every playwright that I meet. Something that I learned very early on, and if you take anything from this entire video series, let it be this, is that you should always follow the lead of the playwright. Whatever is easiest for the playwright to create their work, which, by the way, is usually the reason that you're employed in the first place, is what you should build your systems and methods around. While you want to take your cues off the playwright like you would a conductor in a musical, make sure that you are using your own skills as a stage manager to make editing and distributing to the entire company as smooth as possible. An observation that I've picked up after looking at some really successful script change processes is that stage management will usually appoint one person to kind of be the script change liaison. There are some really distinct benefits to having this position on a team. First, you get to develop a relationship with the playwright that is unlike any other collaborator in the room. They're trusting you with their creation. Second, the trust that you forge with the playwright at the beginning of the process can only be strengthened and built upon by being competent and doing the work right for the playwright. I find that having one person who is this script playwright liaison kind of allows for less avenues for miscommunication, wire crossing, and general chaos that can occur when there's kind of too many cooks in the kitchen. By establishing that one-on-one relationship, hopefully you'll be able to deliver high quality and consistent work to the playwright and to the entire company, which can only further the trust and confidence that the company has in you. You can be that person who knows what they're talking about, and people trust that you're giving them the most up-to-date information, which is a great place to be in. That is not to say at all that accidents don't happen. People mess up. Wires get crossed. Stage management isn't informed of every single change that happens. My hot, but I don't think should be hot, but apparently is hot take, is that we are human beings first and stage managers second. And as human beings, we all have the propensity to love, apologize, show graciousness, and admit when we've made a mistake. Something I've taken to heart when working as a script SM is that nothing is personal. Someone makes a backhanded comment about how long it's taking to distribute a brand new 10-page scene that you received 2 minutes ago. I have been there. A particularly self-conscious playwright eviscerates you in front of the entire company for accidentally entering the past tense versus the present tense of a verb. That's devastating, and in situations like that, I'd encourage you to speak to your manager or whoever your direct supervisor is, because that's unacceptable behavior and should not be allowed in a place of work. However, for Claire Murphy, the human being, I found that I keep my sanity during high pressure or tense script change situations by just remembering that at the end of the day, I'm gonna go home to my apartment or my childhood bedroom, to a family and friends who love me and care about me as a person and don't care how quickly I can print and update 500 scripts. So now that we're done getting deep and we have our mental headspace right to embark on script changes, let's talk about your playwright. Who are they? What kind of work do they do? What's their background? Today, I'm going to be using 2 completely fictitious playwrights. Everyone meet Charlie and Parker. Charlie writes extremely classical plays, and Parker writes more experimental work. Charlie and Parker are both great playwrights in their own regard. However, they do have extremely opposing styles. Each topic that we're going to cover today, I'll discuss through the lens of working with Charlie and working with Parker, and what steps I've found for success in working with each type of playwright. So our first topic today is what program is the playwright using? This is going to be essential in how you set up your entire script change process. Doing a script in Final Draft is an extremely different process than doing a script in Word or even Pages. Charlie writes in a program called Final Draft. Final Draft is originally a screenwriting software that more and more industry professionals are using to create their plays. I will be talking about Final Draft ad nauseum. Like, I'm literally getting nauseated thinking about how much about Final Draft we have to cover. I'm going to be giving you all of my Final Draft tips and tricks in 2 separate videos, so get excited for that. On the other hand, Parker writes in Word or Pages, depending on the project and their general mood. We're going to be talking about how to set up and implement script changes in Word and Pages as well. They have more similar operating systems, so we'll be tackling those programs together. Once we're signed on to a project, we need to obtain a copy of whatever script the playwright would like to be distributed at the first day of rehearsal. I'm going to call it a first day of rehearsal script, which leads to our first question. Has your playwright already submitted their first rehearsal script? For Charlie, she sent in a rehearsal-ready version of her script 3 months ago and doesn't really want to make any more changes to the script itself until she can see and hear the play on its feet. In this instance, in my first or second email to the playwright, I will introduce myself and make sure that the PDF copy of the script that I have is the most up-to-date version and what they would like distributed on the first day of rehearsal. If the playwright writes back that they do want to make changes before the first day of rehearsal, it's really important to just set up a timeline of when stage management can expect that rehearsal-ready script. Even if it's a day or hours before the first rehearsal, knowing when you're going to get the final product allows for you to set up your schedule of when you're going to actually print these scripts. Conversely, Parker has yet to submit a rehearsal copy of the script, so I will gently ask when stage management can expect a copy. Another thing I'd like to solidify very early on with my playwright is who will be maintaining the master copy of the script. What I mean by this is which individual will be typing in changes, updating pages, and maintaining the most current version of the script at all times throughout the production process. Charlie chooses to always give stage management the responsibility of updating and maintaining the master copy of the script. However, Charlie enjoys being sent the most up-to-date copy of the script at the end of the day, each day, so that they can make any changes that they've been thinking about overnight. For Charlie, I make it part of my daily routine to email her an up-to-date copy of the script before I leave the rehearsal room every night, with a track changes method on. I will delve into what this means in much more detail later in the series. On the other hand, Parker chooses to maintain the master copy of the script himself. Parker is very intentional about every word, every punctuation mark, every page break, and every stage direction in the script. So having him maintain the script allows his need for full artistic control over his piece to be fulfilled. In this case, I'll do what in my head I call maintaining control of a secret master script, which is basically just a method that I and creative team members at Stage Manager Supply Co. have found success with to make sure that the playwright feels like they have creative control and ownership over their work, but also keeps stage management informed and up to date about any changes that a playwright makes in the script as follows. At the start of the day, the playwright will email stage management a copy of the script that has any changes that they made overnight. Stage management implements and prints out those changes to distribute at the beginning of the day, and then creates a clean new copy of the script for the new day. Then stage management will email this clean copy of the script with no changes on it to the playwright for them to work off throughout the rehearsal day. As the playwright makes changes throughout the day, stage management tracks these changes to the best of their abilities, until the playwright then sends their master copy of the script to stage management before they leave at the end of the day. Stage management then double checks that they recorded every change from the playwright's script into their master script, and then stage management makes a new evening current version of the script to send to the playwright to make any overnight changes that they would like to make. Then, bright and early the next morning, stage management receives the evening script from the playwright and the process continues. I am by no means saying that this is the only way to work with a playwright like Parker, but this is a system that I have found great success with in the past. As we mentioned earlier, Parker is very specific and intentional about script formatting, and has sent the script to us in the way exactly he would like it printed and put into binders for the first day of rehearsal. In that case, I'll make sure that I don't mess with any of the margins of the document, any of the pagination of the document, and I will make sure to clear any header or footer information that I'm going to add to the script with the playwright before I implement. As for Charlie, the formatting of her script is less of a priority for her. She is totally okay with stage management adjusting the fonts, adjusting pagination, and adjusting margins as they see fit. I'll be delving into the logistics of formatting a script in later videos. Once you've gotten your script all set up and ready to print, which we will cover in annoying detail in future videos, I promise, we need to print. Here are some quick printing tips. Whenever you are printing full scripts or a series of new pages, which I like to call new page packets, always make sure that you select a collated option. The collated option makes sure that your scripts print in order, so 1 through 88, instead of printing 10 copies of page 1, then 10 copies of page 2, then 10 copies of page 3, and so on and so forth. My next tip is to know the numbers of scripts and new page packets that you need to print for your company. We're going to go into detail on this in next week's video where I teach you how to create a script change distribution document, which I highly recommend creating to keep organized when you are distributing new pages to your company. For new works with lots of changes, I highly recommend printing on single-sided. Environmentally, it really hurts my heart to say this, but it is worlds easier to directly replace a single-sided page with a single-sided page than trying to replace one side of a double-sided page. However, I wholeheartedly recommend finding a really great sturdy cardboard box to use as your recycling and scrap paper bin. And also look at ways that your specific production can reduce printing across the board. I'm linking a really great discussion that the Broadway Green Alliance had with stage managers about sustainability if you're interested in learning more. However, for remounts or new works with little to no changes, I highly recommend printing double-sided if at all possible. Also, if you're working on a musical with a script and a score, or if you're working on a play with multiple acts, something that I find is a nice little touch is to put a piece of cardstock or a piece of colored paper in between your different sections of your script, score, etc. It's just a nice little touch that helps with some visual organization. Finally, let's talk about a third secret playwright that I didn't tell you about at the beginning of this video. A book writer for a musical. Let's name our book writer Blake. Working with a book writer in many ways is very similar to working with Charlie or Parker, but there are a few things that you should keep an eye out for. For instance, when you first receive your script as well as your score and libretto, you're going to want to comb through all of your documents and note any discrepancies between them. Then you can ask your book writer what they would like to do about these discrepancies and which version of a line that should be taken as truth. Then hopefully you'll be able to liaise with your music department and create one synchronized unit of script, score, and libretto. Which brings me to my next point. When you work on a musical that has a music department, make sure that you keep them informed of any and all script changes. Script changes can impact musical cues, the amount of underscoring needed for certain sections of dialogue during songs, and many more artistic, nuanced ideas. Find your kindred spirit on the music team and create a system that works for both of you on how you can implement script changes with the music department. Congratulations! You have now listened to me talk about a variety of different topics that relate to playwrights, stage managers, and script changes. If you would like to signal boost or support Tuesday's Children, I will leave the link to their website in the episode description. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click the like button, click the subscribe button, and ring the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video or podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!